We're talking about this. Guilty Gear Strive developers' backyard. I didn't expect this at all. I'm shocked that it even happened. If you haven't read it yet, it's pretty interesting. So what they did is they essentially went through and said, hey, you know, we delayed the game. Here's what's going on. Here are our thoughts based on the surveys. I think this is a really cool idea to do from devs, right? I mean, one thing we always talk about is that the communication between people, the players and the developers, and like that kind of community relationship is very good. So the first volume, 6.1 update, this means they're going to do some more, right? It's the first volume. Their goal is to create a conversation between them here at Arc System Works and the players. So here's some statistics from the Guilty Gear closed beta survey, which are really cool, right? So have you played a Guilty Gear game before? 95% of people who filled out the survey said yes. This can't be true almost, right? Mostly because if I asked any group of fighting game players, I would assume this is wrong. There's no way 95% of people have played Guilty Gear before, right? But anyway, their favorite fighting game, 50% of them said Guilty Gear series was their favorite fighting game. Most used character, unsurprisingly, Soul Kai Mei. I think a lot of players, especially people who come from other games, are going to pick Soul or Kai because they're simple, and same kind of thing with Mei. The most requested character. Now, this is the thing that's shocked me the most. I don't know who the most requested character is for Guilty Gear. I don't know what Guilty Gear fans want. So in Japan, Bridget is number one, and not number one in any other list. Look at every other list, right? So Bridget's number one in Japan, 10 in North America, not even on the list in Asia, not even on the list in Europe, out of there. But in every other region, it was the same top three: Bike and Johnny Dizzy, Bike and Johnny Dizzy, Bike and Johnny Dizzy. There's only two types of people who want Bike and back. This is what Bear says. People who never played pre-excerpts, so they never experienced the annoyance that is fighting Biken and Biken players. Yeah, I agree with them. It's a 2018 tweet. I know, Curly, and it aged so well. There was another character I was telling somebody about. I feel like that way about Melina, to be honest with you. I don't understand why people ever want Melina back. Because when Melina is good, she's one of the most annoying, worst characters to fight against in Mortal Kombat. She has low profile ball, which is super annoying. She has teleport into Sai or whatever, which is super annoying. She has like some stupid safe string, right? Just forward 1-2, forward 1-2 when she was good in MKX. Like, that character is so annoying. She is such a frustrating character to fight against when she's good. So it's the same shit as Biken. Like, I don't understand people want her back. Anyway, if you actually like the character, that's cool. But if you haven't fought against the character before, trust me, it's bad. The fact that Elfelt's that high just proves that there's a lot of Elfelt players. There's no other reason for Elfelt to be that high, because every other person that doesn't play Elfelt does not want that character back, myself included. Fuck that character. Why does that character hit one button, and if you're in the air above them, if you're on the ground, no matter where you are, that shit's gonna hit you. She's either popping bottles or popping you with the fucking across the head. I like that Johnny's number 2 on everybody's list, because everybody like wants Johnny to come back, but he's cool, but everybody's afraid, you know? Everybody respects the power he holds. Anyway, it's interesting to look at the different regions and their ranks for stuff. Here are the evaluations for each aspect of Guilty Gear Strive. Now, here's where it gets interesting. So you had to rank everything: the battle system, character visuals, animations, OST and music, online lobbies, UI and HUD design, and online matches, right? Obviously, you can see the things that scored the lowest are to be expected, right? Online lobbies scored about a 1.5 here. UI/HUD design got a 2.5, extremely generous. I can't believe how high this got, by the way. Online matches scoring even higher than a 2.6 or 2.7 or whatever. Unbelievable. Bro, it's delay-based netcode. It's impossible to even get into matches in the beta for most of the time. It was really bad. Although, if you and your friend are like, meet me in the lobby in the Uruguay server, right, over there in number 7, right, we just be me and you. So you go over there. There's less people in the lobby. You just find matches and it's easier. But as a streamer, when people are like crowding you, it's very hard to find matches. I think lobbies being the lowest makes sense, but I'm shocked that UI and HUD design is not lower. Then battle system is a 3.5 or so. People seem very happy with obviously the character visuals, the music. I loved it. I'm curious. I wonder if like after the OST is out, if you compare it to like the Rev OST, what it's like. You know, they showed the survey statistics earlier, right? I think unsurprising in a lot of them. And this is like the stuff where people have issues and they say, all right, well, you guys have issues, and here's their responses. And this is like they're kind of like at the front, like, hey, when you look at everything going on here, keep this in mind, right? The game is not intended to be a continuation of previous titles, aka, hey, don't expect it to be exactly like the old Guilty Gear. It's going to be different. The basis of our development is to create everything to be completely new. I hope you can keep that in mind as you read on. Gameplay concerns. The damage is too high. They say a central idea behind this title is that you can deal big damage without memorizing long combos as was required in previous games. I don't know how to tell this to you, but 6P into Bandit in the old game into like anything did 70%. It wasn't a long combo. But anyway, it says we made the damage extreme in the beta test to get that idea across. Before the game's release, we'll be adjusting it carefully by looking at player feedback and match results. But it sounds like no matter what we say, they want the damage to be very high without the combos being very long. I don't know why this change is there. Part of learning fighting games is what makes them fun. Seeing what to current you is unattainable, right? You see people doing these long combos and you're like, wow, that combo is really cool. I want to do that combo and do a lot of damage. You don't want execution to be a barrier that's so steep that lots of people will never get it, right? I can understand that. But at the same time, you don't want it to be that within 5 seconds, you're like, dude, way, yeah, awesome. There's 80% of your life on ABC, cool. Not even the execution, but like just figuring out and trying new combos and learning new combos is part of your path as a player, right? When you learn a new game, at the start, your combos are simple and everything you do is simple. And then as you learn more about the game, you're like, okay, now I want to do a little fancier combo, right? That gives me a better setup. And now I want to do a little fancier combo that does a little bit more damage. And you learn and add things to your repertoire as a player. If you start to run out of things to learn and add, the game starts to feel a bit stale, right? So that's something that, you have to think about. There are fewer Gatling combo routes, right? So the Gatlings are more limited in this game. In Strive, we've made restrictions on this, so it's more difficult to combo into damaging moves from fast, small, normal moves. By doing so, we've introduced a greater emphasis on choosing which normal move you use to start your combo based on the situation and your goal at the time. They said one important concern in this game is placing greater importance on choosing your moves based on the current situation. They said that twice now. I do think it's more difficult in the sense that muscle memory won't really work. I don't know what that means. And I don't know if that means like in the sense that like old players' muscle memory won't work, but new players and even experienced players will build new muscle memory very quickly. But there should be fewer mechanics for new players to learn before they begin enjoying matches. In development, we've worked with the concept of making the choice and timing of each and every move important in order to create room for invention and technical challenge for advanced players while also shortening the length of combos and block strings. We're also planning to further increase the level of freedom with combos compared to previous entrees. While this may seem contradictory to the reduced length of combos and the restrictions on Gatlings, I believe we can make this happen through a combination of other mechanics. So they kind of said the same thing before, like, hey guys, there's a lot going on with the RC mechanic. You guys got to dig in there. There's some cool stuff. Trust us. And a lot of people were kind of like interested in that. And I think the RC mechanic in the game currently is really cool. And they're saying experienced players will dig in there and we're sure they're going to find something great. What if they don't? Or what if the things that you think they're going to dig in there and find happen very quickly? When you limit the amount of options that exist in the game, right? You're limiting the amount of stuff people are going to be able to find. You're going to find that players run into the ceiling of what's possible in the game very quickly. Much like I was talking about this when I played the beta, I very quickly felt myself scraping against barriers. Maybe this cool thing will work, or maybe that cool thing will work, or maybe I can make this combo, right? Using RC or anything else. I constantly sort of was like, no, I guess not. Oh, no, that kind of knocks him too far away. Oh, no, that doesn't work. And in a game like Guilty Gear before, it's almost always like, if you want to make this into this work, sure, it might not be optimal, but yeah, you can try it. Or if you think that this into this should combo, it probably does work, right? Like when I hit an air, I want to do jump, double jump, like slash dust into Bandit or something. And like you hit them with jump P and they just go poof, and they fly away. And I'm like, oh, I guess I have to do jump P right into my special move and just do it without even seeing if it confirms or anything like that and just throw it out, right? That's commitment. That's what the game wants me to do. It wants me to commit, and it wants to limit my choice in that instance so my muscle memory is not that, like, it just doesn't feel satisfying. I do worry that the response was, you guys all didn't like this, but trust us, it's going to be great eventually. I hope that ends up being the case, but I'm not sure. Concern, the 3D camera movement disrupts the game pace. This is a big one for me. I made a tweet about this and I chatted about it. The camera movement, especially where it would get stuck and like turn and rotate in weird instances, was a big problem. We've heard some players saying the movement gave them motion sickness. I didn't get motion sick, but while we're working on improving this so more players can enjoy the game without unnecessary stress, I'd like to continue this with the idea of challenging ourselves to include new camera work like never seen before. We've also heard concerns that some camera work, such as the effect on counter hit, impacts the gameplay pace, player inputs, and visibility. Yeah, all three things. We are taking the survey results to heart and working on improving this so that players can have a more comfortable and fun experience while still trying out new effects. Yeah, so, getting a counter hit and then the game slowing down and then you losing inputs or dropping inputs feels bad, right? Also, there's so many things you have to think about in that situation when you're like getting the hit, and the camera altering it will make it more difficult to tell if that's even what's happening, right? There's going to be counter hits everywhere. It's a fast, high impact game. There's going to be people getting counter hit because That's just the nature of a game. Concern, the user interface or UI during matches. This section worries me. We've made it so that the burst icon moves as the health bar drains in order to minimize the amount of eye movement required to check each gauge. We've intentionally made the risk gauge less visible to reduce the number of gauges that first-time players try to be aware of. Bro, this is such an absurd idea. If you're going to build the game around risk being a huge, important factor in the game, why would you try to obscure it from anybody's vision, whether they're a new player or not? Why not just educate new players and say, this risk gauge is really important. This is something that's really neat. Hey, look at it. It's on the screen right there. When new players play the game, they're not staring at the gauge anyway. Think about this. How many of you are new players who have tried Uni? How often did you stare at Vorpal in the first week you played the game? Never. You were not looking at the gauge at all. You didn't even think about it. The only thing you checked was your meter, right? I hardly ever fucking thought about my Vorpal gauge ever, and I'm an experienced player. It took me a while of playing the game to be like, okay, I should pay attention to this one thing during this moment. New players, no matter how many gauges you put on the screen, will not look at them, right? So obscuring them for experienced players or new players once they figure out that they should be looking at these gauges is bad, right? And when new players are just exploding and they don't know why, you can't even be like, well, it's because of the risk gauge. They're like, the what? And you're like, it's the little tiny gauge that appears under the, they're like, there's a where now? The hit counter is so big because in previous games, it's been difficult to see the number of hits due to being hidden by the character models. This is an attempt at fixing that issues. This hurts my brain so bad. The only people who care about how many hits a combo are people who've never played a fighting game before, and they're like, bro, he did a 13-hit combo? That was sweet. It's absurd. Like, this is not an issue. I can't imagine. I've never thought to myself, you know, an issue with this game, I can't tell how many hits a combo. I can't tell how many hits a combo is, right? Like, it's like such a Looney Tunes concern. This is so weird to me. We've received many opinions looking critically at the UI in terms of visibility and design. As of now, we're seriously considering everyone's comments, and our team is discussing these critical issues to create the finalized design. I hope this is sincere. I don't know who these people they are trying to appeal to are, right? But like, I can't imagine these are issues for them, you know? Yeah, especially because before it's difficult to see the number of hits in a combo because it's obscured by the character models, right? I should be able to see the character models more than the hit counter of a combo. I've never been that guy that's like, get those characters out of the way. I'm trying to look at the combo counter. Like, it's in a game as visually beautiful as Guilty Gear. You want to see the characters do cool shit in motion. You do not want to see the combo counter, especially if it's that ugly. Ha ha ha, numbers go up. I guess that's who it's for. Ugh. About the GGST online lobbies, the Strive lobbies. The online system has errors. That's a very nice way of putting it. Our plan during development, as with the rest of the game, is to create something entirely new for the online mode. However, we ran into many bugs and other problems during the closed beta test. In addition to those bugs, we'll be taking a look at the matching system as a whole. We're trying out a new design compared to the prior ASW titles by using 2D pixel art instead of the 3D avatars. This venture is necessary to create new mechanics and fun that wasn't possible with 3D avatars we've used previously. While these weren't included in the closed beta test, we'll be showing them off at the next opportunity. This to me sounds exactly like, guys, trust us. This lobby, slam dunk. We just had a bunch of features and a bunch of hats that you can put on that you just didn't see yet. You know, you can put a chain wallet in your back pocket. Trust us, there's some cool shit, which is very concerning because that means this lobby, they're a fan of it, right? And they've already invested a lot of other time into creating things for it. Remember, there are people who are like, guys, this lobby is a placeholder. Look, the lobby's going to change a lot. Trust us. When you make excuses for these things, right, you allow them to exist in the future. Concern, the UI design. Regarding the user interface in general, we've heard many comments that the design isn't rock enough. Rest assured, we will make it rock. This is something that they've said that they're going to change. This is one of the few things where they're directly like, look, this is changing. I think it's very cool that they've sat down and said, hey, these are our changes, or this is what's changing, this is what's staying, this is how we feel. I think that them making any kind of statement and chatting with people is great, right? It's a really good sign to have that. That being said, I am worried about some of the things that they were like, we hear you guys all hate this. Yeah, you'll like it eventually. That's kind of like the attitude I'm getting at. I'm like, oh no. That's something that is a little worrying to me. However, they're going to do more of these, and they said they've got more stuff to show off. So I'm not raising my pitchfork just yet. I played the game, right, when it was in beta. I had fun, right? There's issues that I had with it, but I had some fun. I am concerned about a number of things about the game. but I'm gonna wait and see. It's so weird. They're doing all these changes that are like, we want to really make it easy for new players to get in, right? The problem is that long term, these new players will either quit the game or become experienced or veteran players, right? And when they do, is the game still going to be satisfying to them? Yeah, you need something to reach for. There needs to be continued growth. The idea behind this article is interesting. I hope that we can see relevant changes related to the stuff people are upset about, because your fans have voted that all these things are bad. Even the battle system is between average and good. Now, it's not to say that everybody's correct, but 95% of them have played a Guilty Gear game before. They've tried one before. I was expecting closer to average on battle system. Yeah, me too, but who knows? I also expected, to be honest, I expected the UI to be lower and the online matches to be lower. I never underestimate online anime players who love delay-based netcode, though. They're like, honestly, it doesn't even... I play at 5 frames all the time, and it's great. It's honestly not even bad until you hit 9. What if there was a world where Daisuke was sitting in his office in Japan? He knows Maximilian's a large streamer. He goes to take a look at his stream. He turns on the stream. He sees Max is playing online. He's playing Biken. Biken, a character who, by the way, in North America, Asia, and Europe is highly requested to come back in the game. He sees Max get insta-killed by some LFL player who he recognizes going to tournaments as an experienced player. After seeing such a thing, he says, you know, these players, they want to relax and have a good time playing the game, and these experienced players are just such assholes. So they think to themselves, it's time. It's time for Biken to not come back in the game so that we don't have to deal with this. And it's time to make the game easier. What if it was all Hotashi's fault all along? What if he was the one who killed Guilty Gear?
Listen.
When is Giuna gonna get another email from Daisuke? Just imagining Giuna in Photoshop. What did Daisuke say to me? He says, you gotta save Guilty Gear. I gotta reply, yes, sir. Imagine him creating those memes. Yes, all those Twitter messages are real, excuse me. He's not creating them in his lair with his Christmas tree still up.